Hey babes, I'm reading from The Rebels. This is Prologue, The Present. The intern loitered a dozen feet away from the event's speaker, watching the woman as she waited backstage to be called out. People rushed around, techs, crews, and plain old busybodies, but they all avoided the woman. Middle-aged, she wore clothing the intern considered horribly unstylish and plain. There's no way cargo pants, moccasins, or a patched leather jacket would ever have been trendy. "I can't decide if the rumors are true," a young sound tech whispered behind the intern. "On the one hand, her weaponry is impressive, but I was expecting more." The intern agreed. The speaker was tall, but the stories always made her out to be a giant. Oh, and everybody assumed the person known as Captain was a man. The intern wasn't sure how the rest of the irregulars had managed to keep that quiet all these years. In her right hand, the speaker held a rifle with a casual negligence that spoke of long familiarity, and through her open jacket, the intern caught a glimpse of some kind of harnessing. Was that the butt of a pistol? There was no mistaking the two handguns on each thigh, however. The worn handle of a machete jutted over her left shoulder. Weapons and clothing displayed a level of wear and tear the intern had never seen before. "She's really a rebel leader?" the intern whispered to the tech. "I mean, you'd expect someone with better looks or charisma or something. She's not even trying to hide the gray in her hair. So what if she's blonde? She should still do something. Instead, she's been standing like a statue for the last 5 minutes. I'm not even sure if she's blinked." Indeed, the speaker stood, a rock of calm in the ocean of chaos around her, the rush of people intimidated by her stillness. On stage, Mrs. Price, the local high school's principal, who'd found the woman, passionately gave her introduction. The intern privately wondered if Mrs. Price would ever stop talking. Just as the intern decided to be witty and offer another opinion to the sound tech, the woman turned her head, and the intern found herself speared by cold blue eyes. "I can hear you," the speaker mouthed, pointing to her ear. The intern blushed and hurriedly found somewhere she desperately needed to be, dragging the sound tech with her. The speaker, Hope Sanders, smirked, then settled back into waiting, staring into space and letting the tide of humanity wash around her. Now that she didn't have 2 kids to distract her, she really wasn't sure if she could get on that stage and tell these strangers about the most amazing and terrifying years of her life. On stage, the principal continued enthusiastically about the high school's history curriculum. It was that damn curriculum and an old photo the twins had shared in class that had shone the spotlight on Hope and her family. Now here she stood, waiting to be the guest of honor at an event called, of all things, Recent History. Heroism on the front. Heroism had been the farthest thing from anybody's mind during the war. "Hope?" A gentle hand touched the speaker's shoulder. "Are you all right?" Hope turned, recognizing the voice. "Alex," she said gratefully. "Damned if I know." She gave the smaller woman a quick hug. "Still scaring kids, huh?" Alex gestured towards the departed intern. "Some habits are hard to break." The tiny smile returned. "Besides, it's fun." Alex rolled her eyes but continued watching her friend carefully. "Could you actually hear them?" Hope's smile widened. "Of course not. Though I won't tell if you won't." "Nope." Alex shook her head, then changed the subject. "Did you tell the boys anything beforehand?" Hope's slight smile vanished. "The usual, when you and Tom were there. Details? No. I'm still not sure I can get through it once. Tell it twice? Not a snowball's chance in hell." Hope's twin teenaged sons, Michael and Gabriel, had asked her to take the offer to speak about the war years. Hope closed her eyes. The boys wanted to know the truth about their parents and why everyone of her generation was so serious, sad. She'd bet they were about to get more than they bargained for. Look at that sky. Alexandra peeked through the curtains blocking off the backstage and changed the subject. What a beautiful day. Thank God it isn't raining. Would have been typical if it was, she added wryly. Hope followed and stood behind the shorter woman, peering over her head. The stage had been built in just over 24 hours, inside the Silverton football stadium out on the western edge of town. One could call it drafty, hastily crafted, or even Mickey Moused. Hope preferred to think of it as spacious and reassuring. She got anxious if she couldn't see outside or smell fresh air. The trees had begun to change colors, their fiery foliage standing out against the deep green of the fir trees marching up the flanks of the Cascade foothills. Above everything, the sky was a heartbreaking, familiar blue, decorated with long, feathery wisps of cloud that looked like an outstretched angel's wing. Her heart twisted in her chest, and she rested a hand lightly there, feeling it pound. "Excuse me, Miss Sanders?" Hope turned from the sliver of light to see the intern right behind her, shifting nervously from one foot to the other. "They're ready for you." The girl looked ready to bolt. "All right, kiddo." Hope mustered up a smile. "It's okay. I won't eat you." "Though next time, maybe you shouldn't be so quick to judge," Alex interjected. The intern's eyes widened, and Alexandra smiled slowly. "I heard you. We survived. In order to do that, we had to learn a thing or two. You should try it sometime." The intern ran, and Hope gave her friend a reproving look. "Now who's scaring the children?" Alex grinned back, unrepentant. Ma'am, you must take your seat." "Oh, it's you, Mrs. Carrington." The event coordinator arrived, giving Alex an ingratiating smile. "Will you be remaining backstage?" "No," Alex assured her. "I'll be joining my husband." Then to Hope, she added, "We're in the front, next to your family." Hope nodded, barely aware. She inhaled, then exhaled slowly. Always sound confident, even when you're not. Fake it till you make it. The advice echoed down through the years, as relevant now as the day the words were first spoken. Reaching up, she absently felt the mic at her collar, resisting the urge to rip it off and throw it away. "Mrs. Sanders? Miss Sanders?" The coordinator stood, waiting. Hope started, only to find Alex had already disappeared to find her seat, so she followed the coordinator. She reached for the battery box on her belt and flicked the power on as she stepped out onto the stage amid thunderous applause. It had been a long time since Hope had seen so many people in one place. She took one more deep breath, then stumbled to a halt, her rifle dangling from nerveless fingers as she stared at the backdrop. It was a grainy photo of a group of young people gathered in a meadow surrounded by trees. Hope knew every person in that photo. She knew what had happened to all of them. She drank in the sight, all of them smiling and laughing, their arms thrown around each other, facing death every day, but knowing that right here, in that moment, they were alive. Unable to stand any longer, Hope sank to one knee. Her quick, panting breaths echoed over the crowd from the speakers, the only thing letting them know she hadn't turned to stone. "Hail the victorious dead." The words whispered through the stadium, silencing the audience as the woman rose and turned toward the crowd. Thus ends the prologue. If you enjoyed that, do please stick around, like and subscribe so that you can be notified when the next chapter comes out.